It's all happening next to us, which is why we want to bring in John Rogers, founder, chairman, and co-chief executive officer of Ariel Investments, joining us here at Bloomberg Invest. Thank you so much. We've got a lot going on. We appreciate your patience. I want to go back to something. How are you, first of all?
Doing okay, dealing with all this volatility and craziness.
Well, is it crazy? John, I love talking to folks like you. You guys have been investing for a long time. You've seen a lot of market cycles. Like there are, how do you kind of factor in this one and the stuff that feels like every morning we can wake up and there can either be something out of Washington that really impacts the trade, and then there are days it doesn't. So how do you kind of work all that into strategy?
Well, I think of the 43 years.
The noise, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, the 43 years of Ariel, we've had lots of ups and downs. 1987 crash, of course, 08 and 09 financial crisis. But this is the first time we seem like we're making this crisis happen. We're making a conscious decision to make policy decisions, whether it's the tariffs or now whether it's the war. And that's causing all this drama and all this angst. And that's something that's unusual and different for us.
How do you trade that?
Well, I think on the one hand, you trade it is that we know that President Trump cares about the markets. He sees that as a scorecard. So the one positive thing you can pluck out is that eventually he figures out a way to adjust to get things back to a calm state eventually. But you just hope he doesn't go too far, one more time and stretch and do something that really he can't pull it back.
I'm curious about your view on this, that as it does not relate to markets. It sounded like you were saying that we've entered a new paradigm, at least with the decisions that this administration is making. I'm wondering how you're looking at that. We understand that what the president wants to achieve with tariffs. I would not say I understand what he wants to achieve right now yet. With Iran, we're still waiting to hear exactly what the U.S. wants to achieve there. But how do you view this, not necessarily with regard to markets?
Well, what I worry about is that Iran does something that's extraordinarily painful for America or another part of the world. As they fight back and feel like they have to defend their honor, they'll just do something that will be... we'll all have a hard time living with over the long run. So we all saw what happened when the World Trade Center collapsed, and all the trauma and drama and extraordinary heartbreak from that situation. And you just hope that nothing like that happens again ever in the United States or in our friendly countries.
Got to say, I went right there after this happened, and that's what I thought about retaliation. Any of us who were here in New York during 9/11 remember it like it was yesterday, and it does make me a little scared. And I'm not an alarmist, but it did make me think, okay, what's the retaliation of all of this? We're going to set that aside for a moment.
We can shift back to markets, Carol. We can shift back to markets.
I want to go back to something you said actually in January, and I was doing some read-in on this, and you said the U.S. will likely slide into a small recession at the end of the year. Stock market will drop as average income consumers struggle with high living costs. And this was, I think, at the Executives Club of Chicago's annual Outlook event. And you talked about the Dow maybe declining 15 to 20% this year. But it also got into this dichotomy, which I think really increasingly, I know it bothers us. Wealthy consumers doing okay. So many other consumers are not. So talk to me about that. Do you still feel this way about maybe we see some kind of small recession?
I still do. I've never seen anything quite like it. I know a lot of people have been talking about this, but where you're right, when people are still going and spending money on cruise ships or going to Las Vegas for experiences, doing things that are really the wealthy people can do.
Right.
But the average American is really, really struggling. I go to McDonald's pretty much every day, and you see how much it costs to,